Crescent City Steakhouse, a true neighborhood restaurant operated by the Vojkovic family since 1934, is the oldest steakhouse in the city of New Orleans. Serving only hand-cut, prime-aged, corn-fed beef for over 80 years, Crescent City Steakhouse has become a dining destination for both die-hard locals and adventurous travelers who seek traditional, timeless New Orleans cuisine. Crescent City Steakhouse, 1001 North Broad, on the corner of St. Philip, in the heart of New Orleans.
Fall in love with autumn with PJ's new seasonal lattes. Our pumpkin latte brings you all the flavors of a pumpkin pie with hints of cinnamon and nutmeg, like your favorite holiday dessert in a cup. And our s'mores latte with flavors of toasted marshmallows, warm milk chocolate, and graham cracker cinnamon is sure to bring back campfire memories. The PJ's Fall Seasonal Lattes, available at your local PJ's only for a limited time.
Hey, don't forget my pimento cheese. Of course.
It's okay, I'll take it from here.
Hey, you forgot your receipt.
For the love of palmetto cheese.
Good evening, New Orleans, and welcome to Primetime Sports and Entertainment, because today that's that kind of show. First, let's talk about the sports, because we have the #1 player in high school football for the class of 2025. That's right, the junior class that's going to be playing their year in 2024, and obviously their junior year in 2023. We have Harlem Berry, and he is a New Orleans native right there. And guess what? He's not at St. Aug. He's not at Carr. He's not at John Curtis. He's at Little St. Martin's. That's right, St. Martin's is who got to the semifinal in their class last year. He's the #1 ranked player in the country. They had Leonard Fournette and Joe McKnight. Those are two players that have been there before recently, and he is the third. Harlem Berry will be with his coach, Kevin Dizer, and he's bringing some friends with him, too. Hey, also, it's going to be the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame big induction ceremony this weekend in Natchitoches. We have Eli Manning and all the greats, Paul Maneri, and it goes on and on. We have, obviously Paul Berg there, and we also have some other great players, too, that are going to be there, Elena Baird, and it's going to be this week. But Tristan Manthey is going to talk to us about all the great players that are going to be inducted. And it's going to be a great, great time talking about that. And also, how about the fun part, the real fun part, Tales of the Cocktail, as you know, is this weekend. Its base is the Ritz-Carlton, but Lawrence Ryfield and his friend Ingrid Sean Rodriguez are coming to talk about their company, WhistlePig, which is a big rye whiskey company, and they're premium. I'm talking premium. Their bottles go from anywhere from 200 to 600 to thousands. But they're going to come in and tell you all about it and all the fun things you can get involved with right here on Primetime Sports.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
Hey, welcome back to Primetime Sports. We've been talking a lot of baseball, right? LSU just won that title 3 or 4 weeks ago. We've had a lot of baseball guests about that, but we're going to switch gears because guess what? Football season's right around the corner, and I got to be honest with y'all. My next guest, I didn't know who he was till Friday. Now I know everything about him. This guy is touted. There's been Leonard Fournette and there's been Joe McKnight. Y'all think you know who they are. I'm pretty sure you do. They were the #1 ranked running backs in the nation when they came out, and both had great careers at USC for McKnight and, of course, LSU for Fournette. Fournette's pro career, obviously, he won a Super Bowl. McKnight, unfortunately, passed away a few years ago, but he had a good career return and punch for the Jets. He even got in the Pro Bowl that way. Well, the next in line is a guy named Harlem Berry. That's right. Harlem Berry is ranked #1 as running backs, and some people say he's the #1 player in the class of 2025. He's a rising junior for a St. Martin's team that got to the state semifinals last year. That's the farthest they've went. And I'm going to say this. I've followed St. Martin's for years. I have a lot of friends. I've never seen the excitement as big as it is right now for this program. They have a new head coach. His name's Kevin Dizer. They both are joining us here today. Kevin replaced an old friend of mine, Frank Gendusa, who he helped me get Eli Manning up to Atlanta back in the late 90s because he was coaching Newman back then. But what I love about Harlem, he said, hey, can I bring some of my offensive linemen? He asked me last night, and I'm like, sure, because he's been on a lot of shows. Ed Daniels is a friend of this show. He's been on this show a bunch, and he came on Ed's show recently. He was on Fox 8, and I started watching all these things on YouTube. He's been a lot. So he said he wanted to give the offensive linemen some love, and I got to love that for him. So here you go. First, I'm going to introduce, Kevin, the head coach, Kevin Dizer.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having us.
Harlem,
How you doing, man?
Sir.
Harlem, I'm going to give you your time in the sun. I want you to introduce these guys that paved the way for you, the 3 senior offensive linemen at St. Martin's that helped you get 4,700 yards and 67 touchdowns in your first 2 years.
Yes, sir. So we got Dylan, we got Manny, and we got Dom. These 3 have been with me practically the whole time I've been at St. Martin's. So
what year did you get there?
I got there 8th grade year, I want to say, COVID year.
And you came for basketball.
Yeah.
Well, before I get to that, I want to talk about this. So Dom, Manny,
Dylan.
and Dylan.
Yes, sir.
So they're all seniors?
Yes, sir.
So you know how this starts, right? You're giving them some love now. When you get to college, you might have to buy them a little dinner once in a while. The offensive linemen and then the pros, it becomes bigger. It starts at Rolexes, and then it becomes pickup trucks, and then vacations. But you're starting off right. You're giving the guys that paved the way for you love.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, Kevin, when did you realize? I mean, you've only been at St. Martin's for a year and a half, but he'd already. Were you there at all his freshman year? I guess you got here sophomore year.
No, I got here as a sophomore year, but it's a crazy story. I was the head coach at Riverside Academy, so we were playing St. Martin's, and no offense to St. Martin's, typically you're getting ready to play them. It's
a W, right?
It's that
and
week,
Riverside
right?
Academy is not used to L's. I know that.
Yeah, and so I've seen his name in the paper and seen how many yards he's rushed for and all that. So we get the film that week, and I turn it on, and I'm like, all right, kid's really fast. Like, that's blatantly obvious. He can run. How good is he? I don't know. He wants to bounce every run, and he's just outrunning kids. Right. So, we're game planning for him and stuff, and I'm still just thinking, fast kid. Well, St. Martin's comes over. We play each other. Real close game. We win at the end, but it was a close game. And 300 yards later, that he put on us that night, I said, God, this kid is as good as anybody I've ever seen touch a football at his age. I'm like, he's in the echelon of Reggie Bush and Chris Johnson, dudes like that in the NFL. And I'm like, this guy's serious,
That's interesting you say Chris Johnson. I want to say something about
that. And that was my first time seeing him in person. And I'm like, man, if this kid sticks with it, hits the weights, he's going to be special.
Well, I heard about him this weekend, and since then I've dug into all the footage I can get. And by the way, y'all get coverage because you got great footage. And the first person I thought of when I saw her run around the side was Chris Johnson. Like, Chris Johnson's, like, to me, one of the fastest dudes I've ever seen on a football field. I think he ran a 4.2 something. And I've heard, I don't know if it's true, but I heard you might have run a 4.2 something as well, which in my years of covering, and I covered the NFL for a long time, there was Chris Johnson, and then there was just a couple others. But then I saw you doing some bouncing and some jitterbugging, and I thought also Reggie Bush. So do you get comparisons of any of these guys that I'm talking about, or if not them, who else?
I get Reggie Bush, but mostly a lot of people compare me with Joe McKnight.
Because he's a local guy that did great things, obviously.
Yes,
Did you know anything about his career?
I knew, well, it's like him and then Leonard. I knew more about Leonard.
Right.
But I didn't really know too much about Joe McKnight.
See, I wasn't living in New Orleans, although I'm from here, when McKnight was doing his thing for Curtis. But I do remember that he was the #1 recruit in the country. And I do remember that he wasn't going to go to LSU. And USC got him on the heels of all that greatness with Reggie Bush had just left. So when you get mentioned in the same breath, and I know McKnight didn't have the pro career that Fournette is having. Fournette, started a little slow with some injuries. Now he's got a Super Bowl ring, and people are realizing how great. But you're the next guy in New Orleans. I mean, there's Leonard right there. All-American. And here's the other thing. You've already got asked to be in an All-American team back in 2022. That's in 2025. Now, I was one of the starters of that game back in the day because we had a show called Countdown to Signing Day in Atlanta. That was a nationwide show. We brought Peyton Manning on, Josh Booty on. If you were a star, you were on that show, and basketball and football. And when I heard that, we didn't give invitations generally until a few months before. Yeah. What's it like getting one 3 years before the game's even being played?
That was a great feeling. That was great that people like that were looking at me to play, especially because it was like my first year playing football too, so it's a great feeling.
But tell me that. That's interesting to me because I hear stories about people that come out and all of a sudden they play another sport, but this is as dramatic as it gets. you came to St. Martin's and you were a basketball player. You're obviously a track guy. You're documented 4.35, 4.37. I've heard 4.26, which I'm not going to say after seeing your film. It could be anything, right? But where did it happen where you realized that, oh man, I might be really special in football? Was there a moment?
I mean, I played football when I was like real little. I played for maybe 1 or 2 years. Then I stopped and I went to elementary school. I played like the flag football team, but I never like really played like a good tackle.
You must
football.
be unbelievable in flag, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
I was pretty good, but then I came to St. Martin's and I was really looking at basketball because I hadn't played tackle football at all. But I always loved playing football, so I went out and I played football and found out I was real good at it.
So, are you still playing basketball? I know you got to be running track.
Oh yeah.
You're playing all the sports though?
Yeah, I still play all 3. I actually didn't run track until I got to my freshman year here. But I still like to play basketball. I still play for the school, but that's about it.
Coach, there can't be anybody faster in the state, is there right now?
In track times, there's probably some guys out there. He doesn't, in track, he doesn't.
He's not focusing year round.
Yeah, he doesn't run year
right.
round. That's kind of a 2-3 month deal. So in track times, there's some guys out there, but in between the lines on a football field, I'll just put it this way: if he's got a step, it's over with.
It's over with.
It's over. So, and that's what's important as a coach, right? Like I don't really care what you run on the clock.
Right. It's football speed, baby.
Yeah, when we break one, are you going to get caught? And the answer is no chance. So.
Jerry Rice is not the fastest 40, but he's fast on the football field.
Absolutely.
Now I want to bring some linemen in because you guys have been around. You're a grade ahead of him, right? I'm gonna start with Manny because you got the mic on. We only got 3 mics for the guests. We got 4 total, one's for me. But we're gonna start with you because then I want you to chime in. When he came on the football field, I imagine y'all been playing. How many years? Have you been playing since 7th, 8th grade?
Yeah.
Y'all look like y'all been playing. So when he steps on the field, I'm gonna start with you, Manny. Did you see anything different immediately? What was your take about him as a football player?
Oh man, it really is unbelievable. Like he just has complete control of what's going on, on the football field. Like his vision's insane. It's just an unbelievable speed, That's what it is, man.
So y'all are on the right side, right?
Yes.
So Dominic and y'all can chime in. They're gonna have to lean over into the mic. But is it fun when the play gets called on your side of the field? I'm gonna start with you, Dylan. Does the play get fun when say he's gonna run between tackles or run between the guard?
Yeah, it's a lot better because I feel like I have more security with Manny and Dom on my right side, and I feel like we block better all together since we've been playing since 7th grade.
So you're the center that leads it off. I mean, y'all got to the state semis, and I'm going to ask you this: what was that like? Because I mean, like he said, St. Martin's. I'm not going to say it's an automatic W but a team like Riverside's thinking that. Yeah. But now everybody's looking at y'all like, oh my God, that might be an L for us when they look at the schedule. What's that feeling like?
It was an amazing feeling to make the semifinals with the whole community and the school around us. Mm-hmm. It was something we've never seen before, and it was pretty cool.
You're last to speak. I feel bad, but getting that mic, blocking for him, just tell me what it's like.
It's awesome, really, and I mean, he makes your job so much easier, and
Well, like I said, I didn't know the story here because I mean, I did a show where the only guy that we brought in before, because this show was basketball, was LeBron James. Like, I mean, we did this show I did it for 11 years before I moved on to become an agent. But LeBron was on Sports Illustrated, and I just started calling my AAU folks. I said, I got to get this guy on. He came. I got him on 3 weeks later. But that's the stuff was talking. Now this publicity is gonna get bigger and bigger. You saw it as a kid when Leonard Fournette. Like I remember moving back right when he was coming through St. Aug. Are you ready to handle it? Because I mean, there's a lot. You were the hunter before, like meaning like you were the team, like looking to beat these teams. Now you go to state semifinals. Now you're going to have a target on your back. Y'all are going to be ranked higher than you've ever been. Obviously, you got a lot of returning players. Mm-hmm. 4 of them are sitting right here. Yeah. Are you ready for all this? And tell me about what it's going to be like.
I'm definitely ready. I just see that we put this work in throughout the summer, and I trained and everything, and all of us have just been grinding, and we're just gonna be ready for all that.
Coach, when they were making the run, I know Jandusa was head coach, and I believe he's the athletic director now, and what a great guy he is. I haven't seen him in years, but I just remember what a gentleman he always was. But you're taking over a team. There's some expectations.
Yeah.
I don't know what else you have on the team, but I mean, obviously, when you finish in the Final Four, what are your expectations this year, and what are your expectations for him?
Yeah, so we do have a pretty good group coming back. I do think we'll have a successful season, and you know what it's going to be in the end. Who knows, right? A lot of stuff's got to fall into place. You got to have some luck. The old saying, we've got to control what we can control. But my expectations for Harlem, before I talk about the team, one, it's time for him to develop as a leader. It's time for his voice to be heard, to go along with his actions. So
it's hard when you're a sophomore.
Absolutely.
You got older guys. I mean, it's hard to take that role.
Absolutely, and that says a lot about Harlem for, having all of this production and still, listening to other guys and still following other guys. But it's his time to step up and lead now. So I'm definitely expecting that from him. And he's got to continue to develop an understanding the game of every run, it's going to be a home run, even though he's certainly capable. But, it's best for him moving forward to understand, hey, a 5-yard run is a good run. And you're setting up
5-yard runs, you got first down.
Yeah, and you're setting up something bigger. So just understanding really how to play the game more so than just a lot of the backyard type of runs, understanding what we're trying to do, what the play calls, what are we setting up. So just a maturity and understanding the game a little bit more, and then stepping up as a leader. And he's well on track to do both of those. I know the production's going to be there. That's not a question. The highlight plays are going to be there. And he's going to continue to be the outstanding young man that he is, so I'm not worried about any of that with him. And then as a team, you used the word, you said, we've been the team that's had to go hunt. Well, that can't change. We can't think because we went to the semifinals one time that's just going to happen.
How do you keep them grounded then?
Work. Shut up and work. That's it. You always have to make kids understand the truth. Like, you can't buy into what your mom and dad are telling you when you go home. You can't buy into what your girlfriend and your grandma is telling you about how great we are. No, we've got to do the work, and we've got to continue to fight for what we want. And to be honest with you, I want to fight for St. Martin's history, right? It hadn't necessarily been there. So, no, people don't take us serious. They take Harlem serious. Right? So we've got to continue to develop as a complete program and a complete team to earn that respect. And we've got to go out and we've still got to hunt, no doubt.
Coach, you mentioned mom and dad's getting the ear. One thing I'm going to tell you real quick. I talked to your dad for 25 minutes yesterday because I got to always go. I want to go through the parents to make sure everybody's comfortable if I'm going to bring a high school guy on.
Yeah.
And listen, I could tell right away. Great man, great support. I don't know your mother yet. Hopefully I'll meet her at one of the games I'll hopefully go to. But what's it like having the support from them, and what do they like, and what do they bring you to make you the person you are today?
Definitely is a great, those two are great people in my life, especially my dad. My dad, he's like a sports fanatic.
Oh, he is. He knows it, man. He knows it. We rode round and round yesterday.
Yeah, so, he definitely helps me with, like, the sports side of everything and just my mentality and stuff I have to have. But my mom just helped me grow up and just helped me with everything I need to do outside of sports. And she's just a loving caretaker that she is. So
that's awesome. Manny, what does he do best on the football field? Like when you have him, what are some of the things that make him special, like as a player?
I mean, his level-headedness. He's never fazed by anything. He can.
No, I like what you're saying because everybody's got their own style. Some are fiery players. He just keeps his cool.
Yes, he's very calm, collected when playing, but he can also turn it up. Like he can switch just like that.
I'm old, so I remember St. Martin's. I mean, like great alumni base here. I mean, great people come out of that school. But I remember the rivals on that level being like Newman, Country Day back in the day, and I know Curtis used to be playing in that league, and I think Curtis used to beat up on everybody, including the I was at De La Salle when they were 5A. I know they've gone down, but my point is that. Those still the rivalries? I mean, not Curtis, because they're now in the Catholic League, I know.
Yeah.
In fact, I think they took our place. But who are the rivalries now for y'all?
Yeah, you know, I don't really get in that a whole lot, but I know you know it's going to be Newman Country Day.
Well, not even the good teams. I mean, like the alumni. Do they still want to beat them the most?
Yeah. I would definitely say Country Day being number one, and then I would say Newman. And my role in that whole thing, again, we've got to do the work, and we've got to give ourselves even something to be talking about compared to these people, right? So I just want our kids to understand, that's for the alumni, that's for the fans. You know, we got to do the work, we got to go play the game, you know? And so respect everybody, and we've got to continue to fight for what we want and what's ours, yeah.
How exciting is it to know that there's going to be not just parents at these games now? It's going to be, you're going to have people coming out to see the team and you, but the team. They want to see this team. I mean, y'all are exciting thing going on right now. I've been, like in the last 3 days, I've just been reading. I mean, the buzz is out. It's kind of fun. And it's not just about Harlem, Barry. It's about St. Martin Saints. What's that going to be like for you out there?
It's definitely going to be really exciting knowing that like our stands are going to be packed. Because I remember my freshman year, even our homecoming game, it wasn't too packed. And then like I looked at film from last year, there was people on the sidelines and everything. So it's just going to be great that we have a lot of people cheering for us and could put on a show for them.
So over the years, there's been so many great running backs, and I'm just thinking off the top of my head. Leroy Horde went to Michigan. You had Warwick Dunn went to Florida State. You've had so many. Kevin Falk went to LSU. Obviously, more recently, Joe McKnight went to USC. Fournette went to LSU. I mean, so many went to LSU. I know that's a big in-state school. I know you got offers, and we're going to start throwing something up from your Twitter. I went through your Twitter. It's like, you're so kind to every school. I'm so blessed to receive an offer from Tennessee, from Harvard, from Georgia. This is all back in this beginning of his sophomore year. I mean, Alabama and Georgia are offering back then. That means you know you're good. But when you look at all of this, USC, these are the power. I mean, I think of USC and Oklahoma. When I was a kid, those were running back U's, right? There's a lot going on here, and I'm not asking you to tell me where you're going, but when you look here, what matters to you when you pick a school? I mean, what are the most important factors?
It's one, definitely how the team's going to use me as.
Oh, as a running back, and what kind of style they play.
Yes, sir. 2 is education, and then 3, my family.
Your family, being able to come see you.
Yes, sir.
Well, the SEC, obviously everything's close. I mean, I'm not here to pimp LSU or anything, but I mean, they're looking pretty good right now with your boy Brian Kelly. But you're gonna have options. Any timetable you have? Like on when you might make a decision?
It definitely probably be late next year, maybe senior year, but I still don't.
How about Tulane, by the way? I'm just saying because they're local. I mean, Tyjae Spears was the conference player of the year, and I'm not pimping Tulane because I love LSU, I love Tulane, I like them all. But the fact is I think my friend Willie Fritz might get upset if I just mentioned LSU. So I'm throwing Tulane out. They had a great year. They're ranked 17. They finished. They finished 9th in the country last year. LSU's ranked 5th this year going into the season, but Tulane finished 9th, and I think LSU finished somewhere in the mid, like maybe 14 or something. So it's kind of wild growing up a Tulane fan, then becoming a huge LSU fan. So I love them both. That both these teams are basically in your top 20 as teams. So a team, are you looking for success from the program too? I mean, everybody that you seem to get offers from are all pretty darn good.
Yeah, I mean, definitely success too, but really and truly, success will come from any team. So, like I said, just how the team will use me personally.
I got to ask you a question because it is unusual a lot of times to have highly ranked players get looked at for like 2 years, 3 years. Well, we just had one just leave, Arch Manning at Newman. I mean, this guy, obviously his granddad was one of my idols, Archie Manning. His uncle's Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, another uncle. So he had the pressure. Did you ever see his recruitment, watch it from afar, and now that you're kind of going through something similar, you don't have that name like the pressure of that because both his brothers are Super Bowl MVPs. That's got to be, I mean, uncles. Yeah. But you going through recruitment like that, have you seen what he's done and kind of been like, man, now I know what that's like?
I definitely looked at it like last year, his senior year, like when I started to really go through the process. I more looked at it, talked to him.
That's right. You were getting offers the summer before. LSU and them gave you offers, what the summer before your sophomore year?
Yeah, it was the summer going into my sophomore year, yeah.
And then how did it start where like Georgia's and all them are, you have a bunch in September. They just see a few games and that's that would happen?
Definitely that. It was just crazy. They all came so fast. It was like 1 week. It was just a bunch of them back to back. I remember I got like 3 calls in one day. It was crazy.
And these aren't the mid majors. I mean, this is like number 1 in the country, number 2 in the country. That's got to feel good. I got 1 lineman a shirt, but I got in my trunk, I got 2 more. So I'm giving 3 tasks on set, but I'm gonna get y'all before you go. Medium for you, right?
Yes, sir.
You like that to look tight, huh? I got you. We got a large for Coach. I haven't been a large in many years, but when I was your age, I was that. And I'm gonna throw middle one. Whoever gets the XL, and the other 2 are double X's. Just XL's okay. I can't give y'all gift certificates. I don't have enough of these. But I will give Coach, and maybe they can take you out.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, this ain't gonna be enough. I'm sorry. But Shays Delachay's, I didn't realize we were bringing pasta. So just go get some nice lunch over there. That's on Maple Street. You got to go near Newman though, unfortunately. And it's near Tulane too. So Fritz might just show up. I don't know at the lunch. But I appreciate all y'all, Kevin.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. And best of luck to you.
Thank you.
And you got a great head on your shoulders, man. I'm looking forward to watching you. And keep blessing these guys because they're the ones that get it done.
Yes, sir.
Thank you guys for all coming. Hey, St. Martin Saints, man. I have to go if they ever play a Thursday game, I'm there. I got to leave town every Friday to go do games on the West Coast, East Coast, Big 10, Big 12, Pac-12. But I guarantee you, one of the first games I'm going to see if I can. Do y'all have any Thursday games?
We do. Week 3 is our first Thursday game. We'll be at home against Abramson. I think that's September 21st.
That's my game right there.
You go.
That's my game. It's my daughter's birthday. You're going to have to wait a day, though. All right. Hey, that was fun. And I'm looking forward to watching these guys. Y'all support the St. Martin Saints. This is the first time I've had a St. Martin Saint on this show, and I couldn't be happy about it. Now we're going to switch gears to some professionals that have done some great things, and they're in the Hall of Fame. And the induction is going to be this Saturday in Natchitoches at the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. I'm going to have Tristan Manthey, who is the chairman of the board for the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. I've had Ronnie Rance on, who's the CEO and the president of it. He's been on before. Now we're going to talk about all the greats, including Eli Manning. We just talked about he's a Super Bowl MVP. We've also got Wendell Davis, one of my favorite players when I was at LSU. Matt Forte, a Tulane legend. It goes on and on. Elena Beard, who played at Duke, and she's in the WNBA. She's got 4-time All-Star. But we'll get into all that next, right here on Primetime Sports. First spot.
The owners of the Delachay's Wine Bar on St. Charles Avenue have opened up their newest creation uptown on Maple Street called Chez Delachay, a new local wine bistro featuring a larger menu of small and large plates, a brighter atmosphere, and full table service. Additionally, patrons can enjoy a large patio out front as well as an extensive wine list offering selections from around the world. It's Chez Delachay, 7708 Maple Street between Carrollton and Broadway.
Max Durbus Realtors has been providing commercial and industrial real estate services to its clients for nearly 100 years. Since 1934, Max Durbus has been locally owned and operated throughout the greater New Orleans area, including the North Shore, Hammond, and even the Mississippi Gulf Coast and beyond. We focus on your commercial real estate needs so you don't have to. More information is available at 504-733-4555.
Hey, welcome back to Primetime Sports. Hey, we just set a record. 5 people in one set. That was awesome. That guy is going to be a superstar. Let's pray there's no injuries in his future. And St. Martin's has a good year. It's great to meet his head coach, Kevin Dyser. And, of course, those 3 offensive linemen. But Harlem Berry, your future's bright, son. Hey, we're going to switch gears to some guys that have already made it and being recognized this weekend as some of the best at what they do. And we have Tristan Manthey, who is with the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, because this weekend there's a bunch of inductions, 10 to be exact. I've been to this event 5 times. It's usually at the end of June, but we know from when Peyton Manning got inducted a few years ago, that's also the week of the Manning Passing Academy. So that'll take precedence over everything. They moved that one up a few years back to early June. This one's going to late July because Eli Manning, you see in the bottom middle, is inducted this year. This weekend on Saturday night in Natchitoches, Louisiana. A great event that's been put on for a long time. We're going to talk about all those guys and more, and a lady as well, Elena Beard from Duke, who's from Shreveport, and she went to the WNBA and did some great things, but some great names. But Tristan Manthey, who is the chairman of the board. That sounds important. the chairman of the board.
Very important.
We're going to get into that in a second, but this is a Tulane guy. You know, he loves all the local teams. Loves LSU, UNO, Loyola, name them all. But he has a special place in his heart for Tulane. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, let's talk about this first, because as a kid, I used to go to Tulane Stadium and go to games. You're about 6 years younger than me. And, you know, I don't know how many Saints games you were able to see, but the Saints and Tulane both played for the first 10 years of my life in Tulane Stadium. I was not in the neighborhood. So I grew up a Tulane fan, and you told me today that you're very similar in the fact that you love Tulane at an early age as well.
Absolutely. My dad is some of the fondest memories with my father. He would always bring us and all the neighborhood kids to Tulane games. Well, we first started at Tulane Stadium. I was only 4 or 5. I can remember how freezing those bleachers were.
Yes.
And then
the coldest Super Bowl on tap, by the way, ever was that one, the last game ever played, right?
Yep. And I think it was Pittsburgh, Minnesota, maybe.
16-6. I still have the credential from selling programs. I was 9 years old.
Nice, nice. And then when it moved to the Superdome, we would all go. We'd all pile in the car. My dad would bring us, and you know, back then you could just run around.
How much fun was that?
It was fantastic. I mean, we played football in the ramps, you know, and then we'd watch the game. We'd run and get concessions. We did all kind of things. Back then, you could do those types of things.
I remember well, Pistol Pete, you know, we got bored. If they were losing, we'd go in the ramp, start rolling around down there. They had the carpet with all the colors. I think if you're over 50, you might remember this. But I got to ask you a question, because you were one of the few kids that got to see, you know, I ended up being an LSU guy too. I love them both. And I'm one of these ones that's always loved them both. I think people that watch the show know that. I've said it many times. However, you were one of the kids that I believe you must have been around 8 to 12. You got to see Tulane beat LSU 3 out of 4 times.
Absolutely. Vince Gibson. Vegas Vince.
Vegas Vince.
Vegas Vince.
Reggie Nelly had a good time against LSU, didn't he?
Well, that's one of my fondest memories. Tiger Stadium. 31-28, I was there. Up until the Saints won the Super Bowl was the greatest football game I'd ever been to.
Is that the 82 game?
That was 82. That was Dalton Hilliard and Gary James freshman year.
And they had just gotten the right to go play Nebraska in the Orange Bowl.
Correct. I think they had beaten Florida State maybe the week before.
Florida State, you're right, correct. And oranges were being thrown on the field,
absolutely.
and Tulane took the thunder away.
And Tulane took the thunder. It was a stormy game. I remember early in the game there was a block punt that changed the whole momentum, and then Reggie Nelly took over, 31-28.
My friend Vince Liberto would know this block punt, and it's on the tip of my tongue. What's the guy's name? Manna or something like that?
Vince Manella.
Vince Manella, yeah.
Vince Manella.
We worked together on this. Hey, real quick about this team, though. How great was it as a Tulane longtime fan to see what happened, 10-2, topped off by that great Cotton Bowl win, 46-45, and your friend, our mutual friend that is, Tuna Souther,
sports artist.
Sports artist, and there it is right there.
It is.
And you're going to have a chance to get that painting. I'm not thumping for this, but I'm just saying this is a phenomenal thing if you're a Tulane fan. They're having a big deal at Rizzuto's on Monday.
July 31st.
July 31st. Tell us about it.
It's going to be an event to support Tulane. Coach Willie Fritz will be there. There'll be some players there. I think if you look at the Fear the Wave collective online, I think it's up on the TV now. It's going to be a great event. It's from 6:30 to 9.
How do you get tickets for that? How do you get that?
Just go online. If you go to the Fear the Wave collective website, I think you can sign up.
Hey, if you haven't been to Rizzuto's, by the way, it's one of the best restaurants in the city, for real. We're used to the downtown and all that, and you know the stuff uptown. That place is great. It's on West End, I believe, right over there.
Fantastic. You've got to have the spinalis. It's just incredible. It's just a great place to eat.
I talked to Fritz yesterday. He was in Dallas for the conference, media days, and trying to get him to come because they start practice August 2nd. That's July 31st. My show happens to be August 1st, so that's my one slot I'm holding open for Coach Fritz. No pressure. I'm just saying on TV with my man right here. Manthey wants you on too. All right.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about what you're doing and why you're here today, because it's the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, something near and dear to my heart. Carly McCord, she passed away the day LSU beat Oklahoma in the semifinal, and a year and a half before that, she and I were they call it the purple carpet instead of the red carpet because that's the colors of the Northwestern in Natchez where this event's held, where we interviewed everybody from Willis Reed to Burt Jones to Tommy Casanova to every sports legend, James Shaq Harris, all the greats. And all you got to do is come to this event one time to see just how great our state is for producing sports legends. And every year there's at least 5 to 7 people inducted, women and men, that you've heard them. I mean, you followed them. And this year is no different. I'm going to let you take the stage on who's being inducted Saturday night.
Yeah, I mean, this year's class is just off the charts. I mean, you start off with the headliner, Eli Manning. I mean, pretty good player, a couple Super Bowl wins.
Super Bowl MVP, how about that?
Super Bowl MVP,
yeah.
And then you go to Tulane, a guy I but I watched at Tulane, and then go on to Chicago and just play lights out in the NFL. Matt Forte, just an incredible runner. I mean, the guy is in the top 30.
Yeah.
Top 30 NFL scrimmage yards.
I think people don't realize this. I looked up his stuff. I looked it up about 3 months ago, when maybe 4 or 5 months ago, whenever Fritz won the Dodd, and I talked to Matt, because there's a guy named David Gomez that played basketball that I represented, and they were the same class of '08. David played Episcopal. Mm-hmm. He left with all kind of Tulane records in basketball when he left, and I represented him overseas. But they were good friends, so I was looking up some stuff. Matt Forte is like 65 touchdowns or something. I mean, in the pros, that's a lot.
Right.
When you look up some of the greatest Saints, I mean, there's only like a couple that have gotten there.
I don't know if there's any that
I know there's one. There's a receiver. Marcus Colston.
Marcus Colston.
That might be the only one.
Might be the only one.
But that's how rare it is, and how what a great career he had. One of Tulane's, bar none, greatest of all time. But when you go to the NFL and you become a franchise like the Chicago Bears, and become one of their legends.
And the longevity, he played for 9-10 years in the NFL. That's just something you don't see with the running backs these days. So it's fantastic.
And I'm going to go some LSU guys, because I went to school there. I'm going to go ahead and say this. Wendell Davis was my time. He was a first-team All-American. Yep. He was also, obviously, All-SEC, SEC Player of the Year. He was Tommy Hodson's favorite target, and he played for the Bears. And I remember this one moment that he ruptured his knee was when they were playing at Veterans Stadium in turf, and that turf was the worst. They had baseball games, football, and they had switched up. They had spaces in there, and his leg got caught, and his career was never the same. But this is a true legend at LSU, and I can tell you, I watched him a lot. Him and Eric Martin teamed up together at some points, and we all know who Eric Martin is down here with Dalton Hilliard, and they had some great times. But then you got 2 baseball guys, and I'm going to go ahead with them.
You got Paul Maneri,
right?
Paul
national
Maneri, champion, and then you got Paul Bird,
national champion.
Part of the first national champion class, I think, for LSU. Skip Burtman's first class, I think, in '91.
This was
Paul Maneri.
This was not his national champion. This is when they won, I think, a regional or something. That's obviously Kim Mulkey's son right there, Kramer Robertson. Yep. But he won one in '09, correct?
Correct.
And then that's when they won that one. And then you're talking about Paul Bird. I want people to realize the greatness. Until the recent Aaron Nolas of the world came around, and obviously Skeens and Gosman, other than Ben McDonald, this arguably was your best pitcher at coming out of LSU, because this guy here, I was doing Braves games for 14 years, and he came to the Braves towards the end of his career. Phenomenal player, pitched for all these teams you're seeing, and he had good numbers, and he was a great locker room guy. Everybody on a Paul Bird team would always put him as one of the 2 or 3 best teammates in every locker room, and then he ended up doing games for Fox Sports.
And going on to a great broadcasting career, but yeah, was an all-star in the MLB, played for 10-plus years. I mean, just an incredible career.
Before we get to anybody else, I have to ask you a question personally. Tristan, how do you get involved with this? Like, I mean, how does someone become chairman of the board? Like Ronnie Rance, I know, was a pitcher at LSU. He's been involved for years as the CEO, obviously the president. And y'all have a tight group that helps get these guys elected to be inductees, right?
Right.
And I want to know how you first got involved with it to become what you are now. What year and what made you want to do it?
So I just love sports. I mean, I've loved sports going back to playing sports. I wasn't the greatest athlete, but I love sports. And then I was good at flag football play as the guy you had before, at least. You know,
I mean,
you
this is good. You had a 4.35?
Yeah. Well, not quite.
Well, 5.35 is the same, right? I mean,
exactly.
No, you're good for
exactly. So, but I just love everything about sports. I love all the local teams. I go to all the sporting events, and a lot of people know how passionate I am about sports. And I had a friend who was on the Louisiana Sports Board, Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame board, suggested that I get involved, start going to the events, and then I got nominated to go on the board, was elected, I think, in 2015, and I've been part of it since. It's a great You know, it's just great. If you haven't been to Natchitoches, you need to go.
It's a great trip, man.
It's a great trip. The event is incredible. It'll start out on Thursday night. There'll be a party then, and then there'll be another party on Friday night.
Well, that's a big one.
That's a big one. That's
on the river. Tab, I mean, I don't know who's playing this year, but Tab Benoit seemed to play a lot back when I was going a lot.
And I think we have Rockin' Doopsy plays.
That's my guy.
Yeah, so Rockin' Doopsy.
Well, he was just on the show recently.
Playing, I think, this year. We have fireworks on the river. And if you haven't been in Natchitoches, I mean, it's just a great little town.
It's gorgeous.
It's like the Hallmark Channel, you know.
It's the Hallmark Channel.
Beautiful little place.
And they have bed and breakfast all along the row, right off the river, right where the event is. It's just a wonderful. And they have the huge tent, and they have all the auctioned items, but all the stuff that commemorates these players and their great careers, and it's really unbelievable. I mean, I don't know who is completely in charge. I know you and Rance have a lot to do with it, with a lot of help, I'm sure. But tell us how it is getting that stuff together.
I mean, it's a year process. I mean, you know, the museum, we have the museum, which is always there, and people go daily to the museum to see all the memorabilia that we've collected from all the different players that have been inducted. But the induction ceremony is a 3-day event that takes really all year long to pull together. I mean, Ronnie is a full-time employee, and he has other employees that help
You're a volunteer, right?
I'm a volunteer. You know, we're the fundraising arm for the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. Our board's charge is to raise money and raise awareness about the foundation, and that's what we do. But you know, Ronnie is the guy who brings it all together, and his staff, they work on, you know, getting the athletes here, making sure they have a great time. Once they're elected, letting them know, and then during the year we do cameos at LSU baseball game for like Paul Maneri this year, and it's just a great organization, and it highlights the athletes that Louisiana produces. I mean, it's just incredible.
It blows my mind.
It's unbelievable, the athletes that Louisiana produces on a yearly basis.
Yeah, and you either, like this show, either you're from here and done great things, or you come here and do great things. You know, like Drew Brees, well, he's up for it. I don't know. He's got a lot of proving to do before he can get inducted, but he's got a shot next year, right?
I mean, he's in consideration.
He's in consideration. Say Peyton Manning, though, here's the thing. He's broken some of Peyton's records. Peyton's already a member, so it's like a fraternity.
Yeah.
It could be one black ball. He might be out. The Manning brothers might team up on Drew.
Peyton can be rough sometimes, so we'll see. Hope he doesn't beat up too much on Drew.
Well, before we get to the great female basketball player, I want one more baseball player that is from right here in New Orleans. Ron Washington. I'm going to say this having been with the Braves 14 years. He wasn't with the Braves when I was, but he's been a lifer. Played maybe 8, 9, 10 years in the majors. I know he played a lot with the Twins. I think we have a picture of that. But this guy was the manager of the Texas Rangers when they were very close to winning the World Series. I don't know if y'all remember that one. They had it right there, and they missed out. But then he became a bench coach with the Braves, and dude, he is beloved in Atlanta. Beloved, because I still go back and do some games. And Ron is one of these characters, and you'll know if you haven't met him yet, like he is the guy that's going to have a smile on your face within 2 minutes.
He's a bigger-than-life guy from everything I've heard.
John McDonough High School.
Yep. I mean, local guy who's just done incredible. I mean, he'd probably be in the Hall of Fame based upon his playing career, but his coaching career has just put him way over the top. I mean, I know they have bobblehead days for him. There are not a lot of assistant third base coaches that get bobbleheads. That's how
popular and fun he is, and he's a great coach. And you know, going forward, I got to say this, so I don't want to run out of time. Atlanta Beard is like one of our all-time legends. We have Simone Augustus, obviously, maybe the best ever from Louisiana. Kim Mulkey was a pretty darn good player. But Atlanta Beard, who went to Duke and was a 4-time All-Star in the WNBA, not bad.
4-time state champion
as a high school, just like Kim Mulkey.
4-time state champion. 53 straight.
Southwood High School in Shreveport. My producer's from Shreveport. We got to get that in there.
53 straight wins. That sounds pretty good, I think.
53?
53 straight wins in high school. That's hard to beat.
I don't know. That's a tough. I don't think we got more than 5 ever. But moving forward, we got some others that. There she is, right there with the Sparks. Obviously, being in LA, she had a big audience, and she's a great product from North Louisiana. We have a divide in the state. We got to get all this together. It's not like it's like the Union and the Confederate.
We're all
in this together. We're Louisianians. So we have others. What I love about this, when I did this, you used to have rodeo guys. You'd have anglers, the fishermen. Like, if you're the best at what you do, I'm still waiting for that first rugby guy to get in. There's a guy that's from Baton Rouge that needs to be in, but we'll get him in eventually. But there's some Tulane guys that need it. Eddie Murray. But let's talk about the 3 others real quick that are in there. Let's get the big list because you
have Walter Imahara. I might have butchered his last name. This is a guy who with Japanese descent that was in a Japanese, I don't want to say concentration camp. That's what he actually called it.
Right.
Because he was born,
they isolated them.
Right after the Pearl Harbor attacks. And this is a guy who overcame that and just became an incredible champion. You got M.L. Woodruff, I think 11-time state champion in baseball.
Is that good?
That's
11
pretty good.
times? Okay, it's better than once, right? Okay.
And then track and field, Walter Davis. This guy, I actually went on the field with him at the LSU baseball game and was part of him. I thought he was his son. This guy looks so good. He could still do the triple jump.
A lot of those track and field guys don't lose it. I've noticed that.
It was impressive. I said, man, I thought you were his son here to honor him.
That's crazy.
And he looked like he can still do the triple jump. So, yeah, these guys, I mean, they're fantastic athletes. And we're just happy to honor them, and we're looking forward to this weekend. If you're around Natchitoches, some of these events are free to the public, but you can also get these tickets to the events on the website.
And the museum itself is phenomenal.
Correct.
I mean, phenomenal. And I mean, listen, one of the guys that came every year, and may he rest in peace, is Willis Reed, the New York Knicks legend, obviously a Louisiana legend, but he's one of the guys I remember interviewing, and I was awestruck. As a basketball kid, he won titles in 70 and 71, or 69 and 71, whatever it was. So he's not there, but you got the Tommy Casanovas, who was considered by many the greatest LSU player of all time. Burt Jones was an NFL MVP. They're all coming. So get on out and support this. If you've never been, you got to go. Knock it off your bucket list, please. You won't forget this if you do. And by the way, Travis, we're going to put you on this Tulane helmet. You're significant. You are very, very significant to this program with all the things you do. But we're going to get you to Shays de la Shays right there on Maple. You should know that. That's right there between Broadway and Carrollton. And there you are. That's a color. You got some you got some Tulane-ish.
Nice Task shirt.
Yeah, you know Task, right?
I know Task. Task, great.
The guys at Tulane, may he rest in peace as well. But here, we're going to sign this real quick. And this is Tristan Manthey. I was so late working on this show.
He's been up a lot.
I've been up. I was working. But I apologize for that part. Tristan Manthey. And I know they appreciate everything you do for them. So check out this thing on Monday, though, by the way, the 31st over at Rizzuto's. I'm going to be there for sure. I know Tristan's going to be there. Coach Fritz is obviously the headline there. I'm just going to be sitting in the back. But they're going to have Tulane players and all that, and they're going to just have some support for the program, man, because this thing is growing and growing and growing. There it is, the wine and dine, and they're going to have that beautiful picture by my man Tuna, who is he's already a legend here. I think he should be a national legend, much like Leroy Neiman used to be. And,
absolutely.
Frenchie's kind of become that way as well. But Tuna's just as good right here, and he's phenomenal. And look at all that. That's the greatest win.
It's just a great commemoration of a great season and a great Cotton Bowl championship.
And one of the most exciting games you'll ever see of all time.
No doubt.
Think about it. So anyway, appreciate you, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely.
I've enjoyed it.
That's not Travis. It's Tristan Manthey. And I can't wait to get to know him a little better in the future. Hey, coming up next, I hope they're still hanging around. We got Tales of the Cocktail. I told you, this is sports and entertainment, and it's been a long day, so I might need one of these cocktails. But anyway, from Pig Whistle, which is like very expensive rye whiskey, but they now just got into bourbon too. They're here, and one of the guys that's going to be here is a guy that I used to work at Fox Sports with in Atlanta. And I want to hear his story, how he went from sports to liquor, because sometimes that might be the right move. But we'll see. Coming up next right here, we're going to have Lawrence Ryfield, and that is his real name. They do serve rye whiskey is their main thing, but that's his name. He's coming up next right here on Primetime Sports. Hey, welcome back to Primetime Sports. Like I've always said, this isn't just a sports show, it's sports and entertainment. We have tons of musicians. Heck, we have painters, artists, we have all kinds of things like that, but today is something unique. You know what time of year this is in New Orleans. We drink 52 weeks a year, but we're especially drinking this week because it's Tales of the Cocktail, and when I moved back in 2012, I didn't know nothing about it. I knew how to drink. We start that at 12 years old here in New Orleans, but I started realizing the end of July signifies a big time down the quarter. They have this big thing where all these restaurants and bars have hosting like these liquor companies and wine companies and all, and they just have a big week of it. Well, this week, last night, yesterday afternoon, I saw my friend Lawrence Ryfield. I just happened to be visiting a guy that came in from Georgia. His name was Jim Hickey and played on the Georgia Bulldogs. We're going to have him on next week. But then I said, man, I'm needing a guest for tomorrow. You want to come on the show? He says, why not? I said, we're going to talk some alcohol, and we're talking about his company, which is blowing up. They started in 2009. It's Pig Whistle. And he brought his U.S. brand educator, and she's the one that knows the real deal about the company, Pig Whistle. And her name is Ingrid Sean Rodriguez. I got that right? Welcome to the show. Ingrid, good to meet you.
Nice
and
to
you,
meet you.
good to see you again.
Good to see you, always.
Because, listen, I know she's the real deal here, but you are the one that is the territory, down here towards the south. You got what, Kentucky,
Tennessee, Georgia.
Yeah. I have to ask you a question, because I didn't know you got into liquor. When you left us at Fox, I don't know which of us left earlier. I left in 2004 to become an agent.
Yeah.
But how did you get into the wine and liquor business?
Yeah, so when I left, I went up to Washington, D.C., and I ended up running operation for 3 networks. And did that for a number of years up in D.C. and kind of got burned out. And I had some friends in the alcohol business.
So you stayed in the business up there? Okay.
I did. I stayed in the business up there. And then in 2012, I had the opportunity to move back to Georgia and started my own company in the alcohol space. And then we got bought. And then one thing led to another. I ended up at WhistlePig. So. Well,
here we're going to go, because Ingrid, I'm going to get some nuts and bolts from you. This is New Orleans. And for the people that are watching the show that don't know about, we're going to talk about Tales and then Pig Whistle with you. This is your 14th time.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Since 2012.
So what year I think this is the 21st year of Tales of the Cocktail, because I knew they had the 20th anniversary. In a nutshell, as someone that comes basically every year, what is it, what's it about, and what can the public out there, if they see this tonight, go see?
So it is pretty much one of the world's largest cocktail conferences anywhere. It's wine, spirits, beer, non-alcoholics throughout, mostly right now at the Ritz-Carlton, but throughout the entire New Orleans area. You have every brand you can possibly think of activating in different spaces, bartenders coming in from all over the world. They have the international awards as well. So it's the greatest group of people you've ever met, and it's actually like coming back every year and seeing your friends that you see once
It's like a big reunion, right? Like the Final Four is the time when all the basketball college coaches come, whether you're a former coach or current. That's their reunion.
Yeah.
And every sport has it, but I'd love to see that the alcohol world has it as well. So we have a big, a guy that most people here know, with Sazerac is the company, and they have Pappy Van Winkle, they have Buffalo Trace, Fireball, which I heard your nickname. Fireball. Look at that. That was his nickname back at Fox, too. No, but
now I need to hear this story, by the way.
Well, I'm making that part up. But I heard, because his name is Rye, and Ryfield, that because it's a Rye company, I said they must have had to give you the job, right?
Yeah.
But as far as this goes, I mean, is it fun for people just to come down, or how
absolutely. It is definitely a consumer-facing event, full all-on. Like, there's tasting bands, there's seminars, there's just people that you've probably heard about. The top 100 bars pop up. So it's very popular, and there's lots of food involved with it as well. So from a consumer perspective, you can buy a pass for just a day.
Yeah.
And God, how many? There's like 20 different types of tasting rooms in one day.
How do you do that? How do you buy a pass? I mean, does it just go online? Do you come down the quarter? Where do you go?
So online at Tales of the Cocktail, TOTC.org or com, one of the two, I can't remember. Or just go down to the Ritz-Carlton and you can buy a ticket on the same day.
That's what I wanted to ask. It's the Ritz-Carlton. I think has it been at the Royal Sonesta before, where they've done?
So it used to be at the Hotel Monteleone and the Royal Sonesta pre-COVID.
Okay, pre-COVID. So now it's at the Ritz. So that's where you can go down. That's the home base for everything.
Yeah.
All right. So here, let's talk about WhistlePig, because this started in 2009. Let's get the camera on that one right there. And I want you to hold it, because I want you to tell me about this. I love that y'all are in Vermont. I've spent a lot of time in Vermont myself. I'm going up to Maine soon, so I love that area. But this is the summer stock whiskey. Tell us how this started. Tell us about, Dave Pickerel, who came from, obviously, Maker's Mark, and just tell us the story.
So I'm going to move back from Summer Stock, because Summer Stock is our newest release for 2023. WhistlePig was really just started as a brainchild of Dave Pickerel and some of our other founders getting together, wanting to bring rye whiskey back to the United States. Right. Pre-Prohibition cocktails, we're talking early 2000s, very improperly being made with bourbon, right. Which at the time the bartenders didn't have something to use. So we knew that we were capturing captivating in a space that we could extend who we were, because rye wasn't being brought back. Dave and everyone got together and said, let's bring back rye whiskey, the original American spirit. I'd like to point that out.
It is the very original.
It
What
is.
year? What year are we talking?
We're talking 1600s.
Yeah, George Washington had a rye distillery.
That's why he
And
has the wooden teeth, huh?
Yeah,
That's
that's right.
where it came from. He and a
Just
bunch
kidding
of
about that part.
he and a bunch of distillers worked to reopen the George Washington distillery. They fell in love with rye and how hardy it was and how much it's a part of American history. Our farm up in Shoreham, Vermont, allegedly is on the path of Ethan Allen and the Green Mountain Boys. So there's a lot of history that revolves around it. So when we started with WhistlePig 10-year.
Okay.
Then Dave brought out 12-year, which is also innovating in the space where we did blended whiskeys and finished whiskeys. Then we had 15, and then from there we started our farm stock line, which includes Vermont rye whiskey. And of course we have the Boss Hogs. And this year, in 2021, we moved away from rye whiskey and we launched a Limavady, which is our Irish whiskey.
Okay.
Then last year we launched a bourbon.
Oh, so a lot of things are happening right now.
Yeah, we're huge. This year was American Single Malt, so we're just keep going, and we want to be the best premium whiskey brand.
That's what I was going to say next.
All throughout.
It's premium.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely.
It's premium. I want to talk about that. I mean, tell me how you taste the difference in the premium.
So premium, I mean, you're getting into, it's not just price point, it is flavor profile. Like, you're not going to see a 30.
There's no Cutty Sark around here?
Yeah, you're not going to see like a 30, a 10-year-old or 12-year-old whiskey for, $20.
Right.
So you get into a higher
These are
price
for the
point.
serious-
These are for
serious
serious
bourbon and
consumers,
rye
yeah.
drinkers, right.
Whereas we created Piggyback for kind of everybody, right? Piggyback was made for everybody, and that's our cheapest product, which is $49.99 on the shelf.
Yeah, least expensive,
Least
which is like in my budget. So Piggyback.
That's right. Piggyback.
But okay, now that sounds like something like in my piggy bank. I can go to the piggy bank.
So you got a
We have a
Piggyback
piggy
rye
bank
and a
as well.
Piggyback bourbon.
We do have a piggy bank as well.
Ingrid, how'd you get involved in this?
Ironically, I was in construction before I was in this. I met the master distiller, Dave Pickerel, at an event called Camp Run Amok.
And what year are we talking about?
2014.
Okay.
I met him there. He thought it was weird that I was doing payroll while all the bartenders were doing laybacks. That
That's
would be Dave,
Pickerel
yeah.
right there. He just looks like an interesting fellow.
He sat down next to me. I have a background in engineering. He was an engineer, so the two of us just started nerding out. And he's like, I think you would be great at selling whiskey. And I was like, I like to say no to people. He's like, no, I think you'd be great. And 7 years later, I'm still here working.
Is there a story
WhistlePig.
behind I like to say no to people?
I worked in construction and finance. I said no to a lot of people.
You're contrary.
Yeah.
That's right.
And you, are you based in Atlanta still?
I am. I'm based in Atlanta.
Since you moved back from D.C., that's where you've been? And where are you based?
St. Pete, Florida.
Oh, you're in St. Pete. Okay. The Don Cesar.
Yep.
I was in 2 weddings in one weekend, ironically, a Jewish and a Baptist wedding in the same weekend, as the groomsmen both, at the Don Cesar.
Oh, that's convenient.
That's got to be a record.
Probably for those two religions in the same weekend,
For
Friday
sure.
and Saturday, at the same place.
Same venue.
It's Big Pink. Is it still Big Pink?
Yes, very bright pink.
I
Yep.
love St. Petersburg. So tell me about the farm in Vermont. We got about a minute and a half.
It's beautiful. So we're located in Shoreham, Vermont. We have a 500.
Is that northern? Like
It's
northwest?
about an hour, northwest, yes,
Northwest.
right next to New York. So we're directly across from Fort Ticonderoga.
Gotcha.
It is a 500-acre farm. We grow 300 acres worth of our own rye. We have our own bed and breakfast, our distillery, our bottling line. All of our innovation takes place on the farm. Then on top of it, we have another private house a little bit further up for guests who like to come in and buy barrels or have some fun.
Wow.
And it really is a whiskey playground. There's no rules up there. We drink all of our mistakes, which there are mistakes sometimes.
Well, you gotta be. You're experimenting, man.
It's
It
fun.
can't be
It's
perfect
fun.
the first time.
Our master blender, her picture comes up, Megan. She likes to say she'll put anything in a barrel at least once. So
She's
it's a
the
lot
one
of
that
fun.
took over for Dave, or is there a group of them?
So there is a group. This is Megan. She handles our blending. Liz Rode actually handles all of our innovations, and she's actually the director of whiskey for us. So a lot of the summer stock one that we have, this is her generation. This is actually a weeded rye, so it's the first one that we've come out with. It's also just a cool looking bottle for all you Gen
So
Xers
as
out
we
there.
go, how do we get to see? How can somebody go somewhere like tonight or tomorrow, the next day, to taste some WhistlePig?
So we just had 2 activations at the Ritz-Carlton.
Yeah.
Tomorrow we have an activation called Hair of the Pig, which is at, I forgot the name of the hotel that
That's
we're
what he
doing
meant, Will. Activation. We were trying to figure out what they mean. Activation. Okay, so where's tomorrow?
Event.
Yeah.
An event.
It's called, I don't remember the hotel that we're at, but it's Hair of the Pig.
We're doing a breakfast.
Can we
brunch.
Google Hair of the Pig and do
Yeah.
a breakfast brunch? We like to start early around here.
That's it.
It'll be on the Tales of the Cocktail app too.
Yeah.
So we give gifts here.
Yay!
And I'm going to tell you this
Well, we give you a
before I
gift.
move back. Well, thank you.
This is yours.
And that's summer, because it's time. Man, I got to drink it next month then. I got to take this down now. Summer's almost over. Football season's coming.
Shoot, not down
but
here.
This is a brand that has no polyester. It's all bamboo cotton. I'm going to say this. I'm pimping it only because I before they were my sponsor, I loved it. And I was all about Under Armour. I was all about the Nike Dry Fit, but they have polyester in it. Once you put this on, you'll never go back, I promise you.
Oh,
and that's a freebie.
Appreciate it.
If you're nice to me, I'll give you another freebie down the line.
Thank you so much.
Hey, it's a pleasure.
Love the color.
Ingrid Sean Rodriguez.
Yep, pleasure.
That's a surprise guest, and I'm glad she came. Lawrence, great to see you again, my friend.
Always good to see you, man.
We worked together, gosh, 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Hard to believe.
Scary. Well, thank you. Go to Tales of the Cocktail and please check out this company, WhistlePig. I didn't know about them yesterday. Now I feel like I know all about them. I stayed up till about 5 or 6 in the morning researching them, and y'all are doing great. So phenomenal. Hey, next week, we got so many things scheduled. Come on. I've already got next week going. We got Kay Beloso, the hero. Remember, he was on the Zoom after they won the national championship? He's coming in person here. We're going to have Big Jim Hickey, the guy that played for Georgia, those 2 big games in '86 and '87. Epic games, one in Athens, one in Baton Rouge. And we're going to have so much more. We're going to have I want to thank the #1 player in the country. I don't know if you'll get to meet him, but Harlem was just here. Harlem Berry, he's #1 in the country at 2025, and the rest of the guests. We'll see you again next week right here on Primetime Sports.